I found this on Ganymede.
What is it?
Well, it's
Synthaholics.
Welcome to Synthaholics, guys. This is your host, David Duncan, and with me is...
Aaron O'Brien.
It feels like it's been a long time.
Just seems like that way. Not to everyone else.
We recorded our last two episodes on the same day because I was going down to visit my family for my sister's wedding. It was beautiful. It was outdoors, and I was sweating. It was hot.
I was sweating. It was hot. When is this all going to be over? It's so hot. I've been to those weddings, and you're all dressed up. You're like, oh my god.
I was lucky. I just wore a polo. All the groomsmen were wearing like gray pants and a white shirt and like suspenders. And I went up to them like, "Are you guys entertainment? When are you guys going to sing that a cappella? You're an a cappella group, right?" It was pretty funny.
Yeah, I was a couple years back. I was best man. And I had to wear, it was middle summer, and I had to wear a wool tie around my neck. And I was just wanted to die.
Neck sweat just sucks.
Just nothing but wet collar. Yeah, that was not good.
No necking involved. That's not gonna be fun.
No, but yeah. Well, welcome back.
Yeah,
and,
thanks. It's good to see you again. It's been like two weeks real time.
Yeah, but it's probably fun to get away and take a little change of scenery, right? And then come back.
Yeah, we almost got snowed in because in Buffalo we've had a really mild winter, and the biggest snow we've had all winter was like the day I was trying to leave.
It was. It's funny,
but I left.
It's funny because like 2 days later I looked out. I was like, boy, we got all the snow all at once. It's just like there's like 3 feet of snow just dumped on us.
Oh, like I've got this weird magneticism around me when it comes to snow. It's like the world knows when I'm trying to leave Buffalo, because every single time I've left Buffalo on any kind of trip, around that time is when Buffalo gets the biggest snow of the season.
It's weathering. They're planning it around you. But, yeah, well, I'm glad you're back. I'm glad you got to see your family. And no, it's hard to get away. Your family's scattered all over the planet now.
Yeah,
so.
my dad was saying this is probably the last time where all of us are going to be together. So we had a whole family picture.
You guys will get together after that. Somebody else get married, somebody dies, everyone get together.
Well, if someone dies and someone's not going to be...
Well, true. Let's get off that subject and talk about a couple things that people are tuning into. Real quick, Star Trek news. There wasn't much other than Shatner's birthday passed, so he's another year older and still with us.
Yes, and he'll be at the Nickel City Con, which I can't wait to meet him. I can't wait to not shake his hand because I don't think we're allowed to touch him.
No, I don't know. I'm nervous. I always get this hero fearfulness because Shatner's one of my heroes, and I get worried that if I go talk to him, he'll just either hate me or I'll walk away with a bitter experience and not like Shatner anymore.
Well, hopefully we'll have a good experience because we should get a picture taken together with Shatner so we can put it on the Facebook page.
I know.
Because the individual picture is going to be a little bit pricey.
I have a couple heroes in my life that do not reflect my personality whatsoever. And
Charles Manson?
No. No, not Charles Manson, but Shatner's one of them. Comic book artist, John Byrne from the 80s and 90s. He's an amazing artist, but giant asshole. So Shatner's a giant asshole. And singer growing up, I was really big into Morrissey, and he's a giant asshole too. So it's like it's hard to wondering why I'm attracted to these asshole men.
Well, when you see them doing their art, you don't necessarily know they're assholes. It's just
no, that's true.
I mean,
you just think they're like, oh,
they seem like they're cool people.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's not your fault. Patting Aaron on the back. It's not your fault.
Thanks, Dave. Talk about assholes. We're going to talk about Q. True Q, season 6. Our season 6, episode 6, aired October 26, 1992.
Lots of sixes in there.
Yes, there are. 3 to be exact. This is it's been a while since I've seen this episode. I was telling you off mic. I have seen it like maybe a couple years back, but it seems like forever. I was like, man, I forgot about this episode.
I mean, we talked last time about we don't really watch Star Trek for fun anymore. Most just watch it for the show.
Homework.
It's watching Star Trek's like homework now, but like because I was watching Voyager and Deep Space Nine going through, and that took like a year or so to get through. So
it's a long time.
Probably been like 4 years since I've seen this episode at least.
It's been a long time for me too. It's maybe a little longer, maybe 5 or 6 years. I really can't remember. It was like, man, I forgot. Like I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about this
episode. I mean, it was in the back of my head, and I was thinking about it on the train because I took a plane down, and I was on the train, and I was thinking about Q episodes. I'm like, I remember this one. It was like the girl Q, and that's all I could really remember. You know, I mean, watching it all comes back, but. I was like, oh yeah, it was the one where the girl's becoming a Q, and I was like, that was a fun episode because I one of the things that sticks out to me this episode is that the shot where they're standing out on the back of the ship.
Yeah, it's a great.
And
shot.
That was just a fantastic shot. I mean, like it's the angle's a little hokey. I mean, looking at it now, but I mean, I just remember like I saw this as a kid. Like I just thinking that was a really cool shot, seeing them just walking on the back of the ship.
You need to for that time because most time you don't get exterior shots. We get them in Enterprise. I think we get them. Do we get any in Deep Space Nine?
Well, they're like walking on the ship. No, I don't think so because they're.
Yeah, I don't remember.
I don't think so.
I don't recall seeing
unless you count the
Voyager.
Unless you count the opening scene where like the guys like like
Enterprise is where you see. I mean, and the other one you see is obviously First Contact.
Yeah,
where
but usually in the TV shows you don't have a lot of exterior shots.
Because it's all
digital or they've got to do some kind of matte painting.
Yeah, exactly. So, okay, so True Q starts off with a female intern is aboard the Enterprise, and the crew's helping Targra 4.
Targra, yeah, 4, yeah.
And they have some terrible atmosphere. They're all farting too much cow farts.
They fed the cows all this red stuff.
So if you feed cows beef, they get mad cow disease. You know this?
Yeah. So
they must be feeding them like their own beef,
steroid beef,
and beans. It's like chili. They're feeding
the atmosphere looks just like some red chili that's way too hot.
So the cows on Targa 4 are blowing ass. Because they're eating too much chili. They're all crazy.
They're all crazy. And the thing is, like, because we have our thing, you know, where Riker's always trying to score. Like, at the very beginning of the episode, whenever she's in the ready room with Picard, and Riker comes in, and Riker, and he's like, Riker, escort her to her quarters. And then Picard stops and is like, you'll never have this opportunity again. And I'm like, yes, to sleep with Riker. That's the whole pretense of that scene to me was like having sex with Riker for whatever reason.
Swinging that commander dick around,
and Riker's making these big old smiles at her. I'm like, oh, he's gonna totally, you know,
he's a beach armor. So this intern is Amanda Rodgers, and she was handpicked. I kind of wonder if she kind of like stacked the deck with her powers, but we'll get to that later.
Well, she claims the powers just started manifesting as soon as she got to the Enterprise. I'm doubting this.
Well, maybe it was like unconscious for a while, you know? Like,
maybe.
Man, I wish I had an ice cream cone. Oh, there's an ice cream cone. So Riker, like you said, he walks her to her quarters, and she's memorized the whole ship, the specs of the ship. She knows where she is, and he says, here's your room. And she says, aren't you going to stay? He's like, I got to go to the shuttlecraft. We got supplies to run down to Targra. So
I can't believe Riker in this episode. This is
so not
This
right,
is so not like this doesn't make sense for Riker at all.
You weren't like this before the beard, Riker.
You've got a young, pretty blonde asking you to stay in her quarters.
Yes,
and also the captain asked you to bring her. Maybe he didn't want to stay because the captain knew he was going to be there.
Almost criminal,
maybe,
and almost criminal in 2 cases that he said no. Almost criminal because is she legal? I don't know.
I think they said she was 18.
All right.
I think she's 18.
A little questionable. But anyways.
She might be a little bit young. But, you know, in the future, they might have, like, loosened up about things.
We'll see. Anyways, so Riker leaves, and then she... because she says something about dogs to Riker, how she could bring her zoo, and he's like, we had 3 dogs and stuff like that. So all of a sudden all these puppies show
It's like
up.
12.
And they were cute puppies.
They were cute puppies. But I just think it's funny that she was talking about them like when he was there. So it would have been funny if like Riker's like, how did we get dogs in your room?
How'd you get it? It looks like you brought your zoo here anyways. So and then she says you can't stay here, and the dogs start disappearing as she, kind of like...
But without the flash, so you're like, what's going on?
Yeah,
is she a Jedi? She's got very cool hand motions. It's almost more like the Doctor Strange.
I was actually thinking like Bewitched.
Yeah, a little bit.
She just wiggles her nose because she does that weird thing with her arms.
Like
she goes like,
yeah. I like it's almost like the Doctor Strange, that finger magic.
Yeah, finger magic.
Finger banging.
Anyway, so that was the teaser. Act 1, we have Amanda Rodgers and Dr. Crusher in the medical lab, and they're talking about her future.
I love how this is like apparently really far away from sickbay.
Why?
Well, it's just like because in the scene, Dr. Crusher gets a call, report to sickbay. It's like you'd think it'd be an adjacent room, like you remember in like TOS, like sickbay's got like 4 adjacent rooms that y'all can just walk through this big long set,
right?
Because you got the sickbay, you've got like where the beds are, then you've got the room where like the kicking exercises.
Those are great.
And then you've got
you need those kicking exercises.
And then you've got like the desk where he looks up his email, which is like a separate sort of room. Like it's I figured they'd be all adjacent to each other, but like she's got to get up and like leave. Go through the hallways to get back to sickbay.
I've got things to do. They're in like some kind of lab. Anyway,
and isn't that just the intern thing to do? Oh, check the tricorder.
Don't we have like a machine to do this? Anyway, so after she checks the
and like just scan yourself. Like, wouldn't it be easy just to scan Crusher while she's sitting there instead of like scanning yourself? Because it seems like you might mess it up accidentally if you didn't scan yourself the right way. Because that seems an unnatural way to.
Maybe she
handle the tricorder. I don't know.
Maybe she was afraid that what she'd find if she scanned Crusher. Anyways,
Picard eggs.
You got semen in you. That was terrible. Why did I say that? So she
because we're us.
Stop.
And we're having a warp core breach.
Oh yes, yeah. Dave on the occasion unwittingly made warp core.
I can't believe it happened like 2 in a row because when we did 2 episodes ago, we did the one about the warp core. I mean the Borg sphere,
right?
The regeneration episode. There was it was the remnants of the Borg sphere. And today I went out and spent a lot of money on alcohol to make a warp core breach, and this episode happens to have a warp core breach.
Freud would have a field day with you, sir.
Oh my!
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar. Anyways, Rogers, so they kind of like trade stories. Crusher tells about her husband passed away and Wesley's away at academy, and that she wants...
I didn't know my parents either.
Yeah, she didn't know her parents. They died when she was very young. She doesn't really have any memories of her parents. So anyways, Crusher rushes off, and then after she gets done with her check on the tricorder, she brings him to the cargo bay. There, one of canisters or a box almost falls on Riker,
and she like uses the force and pushes it away.
Yeah, she does her little...
Riker almost had a Worf backbreaking incident.
Yes, and I think he shit his pants.
He might have, but it's a good thing. It's a good thing she was attracted to him. Otherwise, that would have just crushed him.
Yeah, yeah.
And humans don't have replicated double spinal cords. So,
next thing, which is bizarre, all starts coming together so quickly, is the Force starts showing Rogers and the engineering, showing around. All of a sudden, there's a warp core breach out of nowhere. So they're just hanging out, like, warp core breach. Whoa!
And then she stops it with her hands, which is it's a pretty cool looking scene. That's a nice special effect for
it was
92.
92, yeah, for TV.
TV budget. That was pretty cool.
So Data and Geordi are like, whoa. What's that shit?
And then I love how they're just all in the ready room, all talking about her.
Yeah.
Oh, she was shaken up, but she's fine. And like, we're not going to address that she's got magic powers.
She's got magic powers. We've seen magic powers before, more than once.
We've known him for years. I love how Picard's like, we've known him for years. Yeah. He's so unhappy about it.
Well, Q shows up in the ready room, and he basically says, well, she is potentially a Q, and I had to test her out, see if she had the powers to do that.
And if she wasn't a Q, we'd all be dead.
We'd all be dead.
And
That's comforting.
Thanks, Q.
Thanks, Q. You almost killed everyone on the Enterprise just to test her. So Q says that
He would have brought them back. He likes Picard too much.
maybe. Anyway, so he's saying that he has to test her to see if she can be part of the Q continuum. And if so, then, she can be a Q for the rest of her whatever.
Well, the idea is that she
immortal life.
The idea is she must be Q or die.
Well, they didn't. He doesn't reveal that to them yet.
Oh, he doesn't reveal that, but he gets a message from the Q continuum,
Which is weird.
Hey, it was really weird.
Like a shadow shows up and asks Q. That's some like Twin Peaks shit.
Yeah,
They just said like
Did David Lynch direct this?
David Lynch just said, "Should have a shadow. Talk to Q." And he'll give a message.
It was a cool.
And then David Bowie will walk in and start saying something crazy and then walk away.
And then Sting will come in with just a diaper.
This is shaping up to be an excellent episode. I wish all those things were true.
Well, it's just this is the first Next Generation episode I've watched since seeing Logan.
Oh, wow.
So, like, I don't know if you guys have seen Logan yet, but just seeing Patrick Stewart play that part in Logan as like a senile old Professor X.
Wasn't totally senile, but just older.
Well, senile and
Fading.
He did have some like mental illness.
He's fading. He's fading. Yeah.
And like, seeing, and then, I've seen Patrick Stewart, just play these PG or PG-13 roles for forever, and then hearing him say fuck like 5 times at the beginning of Logan, it was like,
yeah.
Wow, Patrick Stewart says bad words. I was like, it totally like,
I know it's pretty
just,
crazy.
It just, and then like going back to the old Patrick Stewart, it's almost a shock watching this episode
squeaky clean.
after seeing Logan.
Right. Well, Logan's a good movie. You should see it. So back to the episode, they decide they're going to have to tell Amanda that what's happening. Like you're Q. And
I love how Q like abducts Picard back to his personal room.
Oh yeah.
And then Picard's like, okay, she does need to know, and then we'll have to pretend to fight. And the Q like hugs him real tight, like buds, and he's like, civil.
Let's just be civil, all right?
I love Q so much,
asshole. So when Rogers Quarters Crusher is giving her the news that basically that there's Q and wants to meet her, wants to test her out, and then Q just walks through the wall.
Starts manhandling her.
She just starts staring at her face, looking
grabbing
at
her face, like squeezing her face, and like
looking in her nose, looking up her nostrils. Really weird, actually.
Very weird.
Because like, what was
this? How is this clinical?
How does it even help? You can just see through her right there. Okay, I don't need to even touch you. I can see what's going on with you. So
I just like the physicality of
it's funny,
John Delancey in this episode. It's almost like super sort of creepy, especially when he's like sitting next to her and like their heads are so close to each other. Mm-hmm. It's almost like pseudo romantic-ish, but not. But it's really
talk about Sting. He had a song called that. Don't stand so close to me.
Well, the part of the problem was the 4:3 ratio. It's just
sure
you had to like people.
But you have the teacher-student relationship where the is he kind of trying to put the moves on the young girl or the girl putting moves on him? So, anyways, it gets that kind of weirdness kind of feel vibe.
Like he's trying. But it is a seduction of sorts because he's trying to
seduction with power.
Yeah, like make sure she becomes a Q.
I hope someone seduces me. I hope it's with power. I don't want the sex, just the power.
Even with John Delancey?
Yeah. Yeah, I want the power. Give me the power, Mr. Delancey. Anyway, so she's kind of put off by Q, who, obviously...
Oh, that's pretty much his personality.
Right. Anyway, so that's when we get the little visit from the shadows asking Q later on, like when he leaves the room, like, well, we're going to still test her out, but we'll find out. Anyway, so Q's didn't work so well with Amanda. She was not happy with anything.
And, Picard wants it to be her choice if she goes with the Q continuum or not. And after his talk with Q, he's asked Data to look into her past because he's unsure about her parents, how they died if they were Q.
Right. And that's one of the things that Q shows. Q does a couple, I guess, parlor tricks for her. So first, he's trying to say like, hey, we can do whatever we want. We're Qs. We're not held by any real standards, you know. So he says, think of your parents, and then you can visualize them right there in front of you. And there's this transparent picture of her parents with her as baby when they were just born. And that's pretty cool, I guess. If you've never seen your parents, maybe you had to see pictures.
He's just like, oh, how quaint. That's what you've got all this unlimited power, and you just want to see a picture.
Well, it's funny too, because if you think about it, if you see a kid, like a small child, 3-4 years old, the things they're interested to you to you, it's like, why are you still looking at that stuffed animal? Who cares? It's like, we don't care. It's like, it's a dumb stuffed animal. But to them, it's like, this is amazing. That lion's so friendly looking.
Well, I think it was more so Q was just, annoyed at how human she was acting.
Right.
Even though she's a Q.
Right. I get it. But but that's the same thing. I think you're seeing a childlike view of the universe, compared to a Q view of the universe, because a Q is like basically a god,
but he's also very childlike.
Oh yeah,
he's very like
mischievous.
I want what I want, and I'm going to do what I want.
He's sort of like a teenager, kind of, actually, more than anything. But
yeah.
Okay, so so he does that, and the next thing we have, Crusher gives her some medical experiments to run, and Q comes in and just says, oh, freak that.
You can do it faster and more efficient and get twice as much done, 4 times as much done.
Right. Meanwhile, up on the bridge, we get a message from Tagara, the planet, saying that one of their atmospheric reactors is not working well, and could you please have your engineers come and look at it, because it's not working too good and things could get bad if it doesn't work right. So they have these giant filters, basically. That's why they're not using their transporter, because their whole atmosphere is ionized, because they have to have
the cow farts.
They have to clean the cow farts from the atmosphere. So
apparently they bred way too many cows, and they're all vegans on this planet, except for the cows, because the cows eat more cow.
Oh yeah, well, it's like a Hindu thing.
They're crazy.
Yeah, they worship the cows, and the cows have run of the town,
run of the planet.
They're everywhere.
Geordi goes down. They have to hit the shuttlecrafts.
Right. Yes, they're all coming back on the shuttlecrafts.
And then they Q takes her on a hide and seek run around the ship so she can practice her teleporting.
Right, and this is where we have this nice hide and seek where Q's in a barrel, or was a barrel.
Yeah, he was a barrel. Then he's like inside the warp core.
He's inside Worf's toilet. And
then he's in prune juice diarrhea. Yeah.
And then he's in Picard's ass. So it's pretty interesting.
Oh yeah, like, excuse me,
Q, get out of my ass.
Oh, they love each other. They're cool though. And then we get this great shot of the outside of the ship. And then she's like, "Hey, I've got to go. I've got to have a dinner date with Troy and the Dr. Crusher."
Right.
I don't know. I guess I just haven't watched this season of Star Trek in a while. But Troy's hair just bothers me. It's all like so frizzy.
It's like very 80s. Very
it's so
80s.
Weird.
Well, it's this 90s, but early 90s.
It's very 80s. It's very 80s, dude.
With the 80s and early 90s, the hair was all like that.
And speaking of hair, this is the first episode where Crusher has her hair natural, and it's the rest. I don't know if it's the first one that's natural, but it's the first time you see this particular haircut, and she keeps it for the rest of her on her natural hair. She's no longer wearing wigs. And I'm like, really? Why did she need
Crusher
to wear
was
wigs?
Wearing wigs?
According to Memory Alpha.
Get out. I did not know this.
Yeah, she was, this is her natural hair from this episode to the end of the season.
That's blowing my mind. Wonder what the reason for that was.
I don't know.
Oh.
She's got beautiful red hair. Like, naturally. Why would they cover it up with fake red hair?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I don't know. I think Marina Sirtis wore wigs most of the time, too.
Huh. I didn't know that.
So, yeah, hair. It's so weird.
So hair's weird,
Well, the fact that they weren't, I think Marina Sirtis only showed her real hair for the first episode in Counter Point, and then I think the rest of the run was her in a wig.
I didn't know that. It's weird that would be a thing.
And they didn't even get Patrick Stewart a wig. They just let him go all natural the entire time.
They wanted to give him a wig.
Yeah, I know they did.
They wanted to give him a wig, and then he was like nah.
Nah. Oh, they wanted to see him without the wig because he auditioned for the part in the wig,
right?
And then they were like they knew he was all bald, but they wanted to see him without the wig to see and then they liked it better without the wig. So
thank God.
Yeah, it would have been weird.
Yeah, it would have. He'd look too weird. I don't know.
Especially since everything you ever see Patrick Stewart in, he doesn't have hair. So
basically,
like for him to have hair in just Star Trek would just be
he almost always has his
super weird.
Always bald.
They go to 10 Forward and have their thing, and Riker stops by and she's like, "Oh, would you please join us, Riker?" He's like, "No, I've got other plans. I'm going to step over this chair and talk to this other chick that doesn't have a name."
But Amanda gets jealous and whisks her and Riker away to some gazebo
on a hillside with the moon
and dressed in Victorian clothing.
I love Riker's look.
Why is it always Victorian? Why? Could it be any other time in history? Why is it always Victorian?
It could be, but I guess I just think it's. I guess the writers of Star Trek just think that's the romantic era or something.
The
I don't
worst.
know.
I hate that era.
I don't like the era either because I hate the books written in that era. Mm-hmm. I had to read a lot of them in school growing up.
They suck.
They were miserable. And if you like those books, more power to you. I've got no problem with you if you like those books. Just for me, like
it's hard to get through.
I couldn't do it.
Modern,
especially reading them as like a 12, between 12 and 16 years old. It couldn't be further away from anything I wanted to read.
Well, not just that, because they you didn't have any other entertainment other than music, live music, and then Grandpa telling you a story. And so, like, it was either that or you read, and sure, the words are flowery and wonderful, but they just go on and on.
I mean, maybe if I read them when I was older and not like a teenager, maybe it might have held some more, interest. Maybe it would have grabbed me more. But reading them as a teenager turned me off to them pretty much forever. I've got next to no interest in seeing any movie adaptations of them or ever reading them again because of the time I was forced to read them.
Yeah, but then, like, American literature kind of gets a little better. Like, when you get to, like, Grapes of Wrath and stuff like that, it gets a little bit more like, okay. 'Cause that's not Victorian, but I mean... But,
at the time, some of the books, other books I was forced to read were, like, based on history. I had to read this great book about the Apollo missions, and that was super interesting.
Yeah, but that's a different time period. It's they're concise to the point. This happened, then this happened. They might give descriptions, but they don't go on forever for, like, 3 pages on a description on, like, a horse or something like that. Like... I don't give a shit. It's a horse.
Or like Moby Dick, where it's like, here, this is what the whale looks like, and this is what the fat layer looks like, and this is how we render the... Like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Back to the Moby Dick again. Well, Riker...
I love... Riker looks great in the Victorian outfit.
He's purple, isn't he? He's in like a lavender color.
Sort of, but the top hat...
That top hat's really tall.
He looked fantastic in that.
Yeah, and he's got the scarf, the ascot and stuff like that.
And she looked really good in whatever that outfit, too, with her hair. Like, her hair was done nice for, like, the first time in the entire episode. Her hair is super pretty.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Well, and then she's trying to... say, let's do the deed. Let's fall in love. Let's have a nice night. And he's like, you can't just take people and just make them fall in love. So can't I make you fall in love with me? And then
he starts necking her, and she's like, yeah, I guess this is hollow. I guess
this isn't really,
But why is Riker saying no? Riker never says no. Like
you gotta
he'd rather get with a no-name lady. Like what?
Maybe she's like better than a Q.
I think I don't know. Like, I don't understand him rejecting her earlier in the episode, except for maybe she might be on the young side. But at this point, I think like Q powers just give him anti-boner. Because like he had the chance to be a Q once, and like he had to give it away and all that stuff like that. So maybe Q power just makes him shrivel up, and he's just like, no, I can't do it.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Maybe that's the only thing he can't get it up for is Q's.
Maybe he's like, just can't do it. Sorry, something about you just completely turns me off. Well, anyway, so she decides that it's not going to work, and she whisks Riker away. And
the outside of the ship, and he suffocates and dies. Poor Riker.
We get next is that Data reports that the tornado that killed her parents, which seems bizarre that a tornado could kill the parents because they're both Qs.
Both Qs. And because there's apparently in the future there's some kind of like awesome weather grid that prevents any kind of tornado from forming.
Starting, yeah. Just gigantic.
Can't we get that technology now? Let's kill hurricanes. Let's kill tornadoes.
It'd be awesome. But all of a sudden, just gigantic tornado shows up out of nowhere, lands right on their house, destroys their house, and then flies away.
And then it dissipates. But they said it was smaller than normal for a tornado of that power. So it was it was a huge anomaly.
Yeah, it just came out of nowhere, just gone. And then so
can only a Q kill a Q?
Well, that's what Picard kind of makes sense. He's like, well, wait a second. So a tornado killed them, and
it doesn't seem right.
It doesn't seem like that could happen. So basically, Picard started putting it together, and he says, look, you killed her parents, right? Or he's like, I didn't kill it. The continuum killed them. Basically, they decided they want to live as humans, and they kind of wished their powers away, but they went back to use their powers again, which they weren't supposed to. And that's when the Qs came back. And
I don't know. Like, the weird thing was, like, they seem kind of iffy on the Q's power, because I felt like when Riker got offered the Q power that he could have just stayed on the Enterprise. I don't remember there being an offer where he had to go to the Q continuum. It was just to be a Q or not be a Q.
I don't think they have it worked out that far ahead. So, but they decide that she has to decide what she wants to be, because if she's not, she doesn't want to be a Q, they're going to kill her.
Pretty much. So, because she was formed unnaturally.
Unnatural union of humans and Qs mixing. Ugh.
Or just Qs taking human forms and doing whatever humans do to make babies. It's gross. Ugh.
You put what in the where who?
All the Qs have to do is touch fingers together to conceive.
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
So
instantaneous.
They have a little meeting, and they decide we got to tell her, let Amanda know what she's up against. If she doesn't want to be a Q, that she's probably going to be dead. They go tell her, and she's kind of upset because she wants to have a normal life. She wants to go to the academy, go to Starfleet,
have kids,
and
the whole family thing.
Q's like, you're going to live a much better life with me.
Yeah, anything you want,
right? And
then he tells them that we've decided not to kill her.
We won't kill her,
we're gonna
but
give her an option.
But she can never use her powers
if she doesn't want to be a Q.
Right.
And then immediately, Riker's gone down apparently to the planet
to fix their weather reactors,
and it's starting to go critical.
It's funny because they're down there in the reactors, and LaForge is down there, and they're like, it's gonna blow up. We're all gonna die.
We're all gonna die. And then like Riker's talking to them, and Picard's like, "Hey, will you fix it?" And then like they call Riker over. Like, he's not the technical person. What is him looking at it gonna do?
Frankly, Captain, I don't understand anything on this planet.
And so the sooner
there's cows everywhere. There's a cow right here.
Right here.
It's off the camera. I can't even get to the machine because there's cow
shit everywhere on the floor. I know you can't see the floor, but there's just knee high. No,
and they're eating chili.
Why? Why would a cow eat chili?
I don't
Ridiculous.
Understand. It's crazy.
So, as soon as she said, "No, I'm not going to use my power," she sees this happen, and then she's scared Riker's going to die. So
not my Riker
who rejected me. So good thing she's not vindictive. Otherwise, she would have died a horrible
she's a
death.
Sweet girl. You can tell she's a sweet girl.
She's a sweet girl.
There's no hate in her heart.
So, she saves his life. And not only does she save his life, she fixes the entire planet and turns the atmosphere blue again.
She blows that cow fire.
All the cows explode. They all die.
The atmosphere turns to a nice, beautiful color. The chili goes away. The chili atmosphere is gone. The Lorax comes back.
Yeah, everything's good. And then the cows say, they build these signs, say, eat more chicken. Yeah.
And everything's good.
I had a lot of Chick-fil-A when I was back home. We don't have Chick-fil-A here in Buffalo, New York. It's been 3 years since I've been down home, and I ate a whole bunch of chicken. I had it like twice, 2 days in a row.
Man, you were just living it up down there.
I needed Chick-fil-A. Like, you don't understand. We don't have it up here.
I've had Chick-fil-A before, yeah.
But, I mean, Erie, Pennsylvania is the closest one, and Chick-fil-A is good, but I'm not going to drive to Erie just to have, like, a lunch.
Hour and a half to eat, yeah.
And then an hour and a half back. I can't do that.
You know what I really like, which they used to have up here, but then they went away, was Krispy Kreme donuts.
Oh yeah,
Man, those are good donuts.
they were here when I got here, and they went away the last couple of years.
Yeah, they just not
sad.
Yeah, just the Canadian.
There's
Tim
Tim
just
Hortons
crushed them.
killed them.
You can't.
But their donuts are so much better than Tim Hortons.
I know, but you know what it is? It's the coffee.
Yeah.
Tim Hortons has kick-ass coffee. Krispy Kreme has the worst coffee I've ever drank in my life. But their donuts are the bomb.
They're so much better.
They're so good. Anyways,
but at least they're still big down south. Those Krispy Kremes down south. I did not have Krispy Kreme when I was down there.
every time I'm like down south or anywhere like down, I see a Krispy Kreme, I'm like pulling over, like hitting old people. Get us donuts.
That's how I am with Chick-fil-A. I'm just like, I need Chick-fil-A in my life.
Chick-fil-A is good. You know what? It's something I didn't grow up, so it's not a big thing for me. I walk in and it's good. No,
I lived in the South my whole life, so
it's different.
By far my favorite fast food chain.
It's different.
Yeah,
it's different down here.
Yes, that was a weird segue. Just talking about cows, and that's how they do their advertising.
All right, let's get back to Q and Amanda. So she decides that she's going to become a Q. She's like, "Look, I guess I'm a Q. There's nothing I can do about it."
And Q's like, "Okay, let's go." And then she's like, "No, I'm going to talk to my parents, my fake parents, and tell them what's going on before I just leave."
Fine. She gives Beverly a hug, and she gives Riker a little pinch in his ass. She gives
She
Picard
kissed him a little bit.
She gives Picard a noogie on his bald head, and then they're off, and that's where it kind of ends. It's cool to see kind of a birth of a Q. That's kind of a different thing. So we don't really.
Well, we do see it again in Voyager.
Yeah.
Where in the beginning of this episode, Q is specifically like, "Ew, I can't believe people copulate and have children, and I hope I never want to have a baby." And then he's dogging Janeway a couple years later to have a baby with her.
Give me a baby.
He's like, I want you to have a baby.
So you picked
kind of strange.
You picked this. What did you think rewatching it?
Rewatching it, I know I've said on the show before that Q episodes are generally always really good. Rewatching this, I'm probably gonna rate this probably on the low end of the Q scale because it's kind of slow, but I mean it's still good. It's still a good Q episode, and
It's fun because you could throw the rules kind of out the window.
Yeah, and it's totally different. And you're in season five of Next Gen, and so season 5 they're definitely in their stride. Or season 6, they're definitely in their stride in this season. So the episodes are still always real solid, even if they're not super fantastic. This is a good middling season 6 episode.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. It's always a treat to see John Delancey in Star Trek. Always a treat. I really wish he could be in a movie. I hope they put him in Star Trek 4. I know they're not going to, but I just love to.
They won't do that.
I'd love to see John Delancey in a Star Trek movie because I think he got snubbed out of not being in any of the Next Gen movies.
Yeah, it kind of stinks. They could have done some pretty wild stuff. Anything after seeing it that you were like, oh, I forgot about this, or that's new, I didn't realize seeing it?
Well, now being an adult, there's the scene where Crusher's all yelling at Q, and he turns into a dog,
and she's like,
and then it's like, oh, so you're just calling her a bitch.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
It's pretty on the nose. It's like as a kid, oh, you just think that's funny and silly. Oh, he turned her into a dog, ha ha ha. But as an adult, I'm like, oh, he just totally called
especially in today's cultural PC climate, I'm sure people will be like, oh, Mom,
it's
this is not right.
He just turned her into a bitch. I mean, that's basically just saying she's a bitch, and for
it's funny what you can get
audience.
What you can get away with in 1990s television.
That really stood out to me because I didn't remember that part at all. I was like, he just called her a bitch.
Yeah.
And then I know the girl turns her back real quick, but it's pretty funny that scene. And like I said, one of the things that stuck out to me was the fact that that shot on the ship, because that's one of the things that stuck out to me about the episode.
It's a cool shot, yeah.
And the girl was cute. Before off mic, I remember. I think one of the things that made me think about it was just it was a cute girl who turns out to be a Q, and
it's every boy's dream.
Yeah,
I got information.
Unlimited power.
Unlimited power. I got some information on her, but I just wanted quickly for me. I hadn't seen the episode in a long time. I can't remember last time I saw this episode. It's like over 5 years since I've seen this episode. I really did enjoy watching it. I liked Q's kind of, just him meddling with the Enterprise is always fun. But this one's not as grave as other times, like where he has these like really crazy.
Yeah, he put the crew in danger, but it was at the very beginning of the episode, and it wasn't.
Yeah,
there's not that big sense of danger in like most Q episodes. Where most Q episodes, he's abducted them. And like they're gonna die, or in Tapestry, it's like, oh, Picard's dead. It's like, oh crap,
like that's it, right? Yeah, there's more to it. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like it's more lighthearted for that matter, but it's kind of cool to see a young person who's already a little naive in the world, although she's smart. She's not Q like smart,
yeah.
What a Q must know.
Like she just hasn't tapped into the omnipotence. Like maybe that's part of what happens when you actually go to the continuum. Is if you're a Q, you can tap into the
because technically, technically, if she wants to see her parents, you just go back in time.
Yeah,
just watch them and maybe talk with them.
Maybe prevent the Q continuum.
She could be a baby and be totally
cognizant of everything that happened.
Yeah. So,
or maybe she could go back in time and keep them from doing the thing and live happily in the Q continuum. I don't know. Like, there's so much stuff she could do as a Q, which is totally fascinating.
Absolutely.
I just wish we got to see more of the Q continuum. I don't think we actually see it until Voyager.
Yeah, we don't really get much, especially. Next Gen kind of like was just starting to map out what the Q was, obviously.
Yeah.
So,
and I don't know if I had this conversation with you, but I had it with Joe DePinto because I've been talking to him on Facebook and Natalie. That I sent them both that video on the dimensions, which I've sent to you.
Oh, right, yeah.
The 10 dimensions listed. And I'll put it in the show notes and.
It's after you get past like the 6 or 7 dimension, you're going like, "What? I don't understand anymore. It's too much.
It doesn't make any sense." And it goes up to 10, and like it just doesn't make any sense. What could even It's hard to think about things beyond like 4 and 5. But when they get up to 10, it's like it's hard to even figure out how they even figured that out. But beyond 10. We don't even know.
Right.
And I was having an interesting conversation with them because I sent them that video, and I was talking with them. And I was saying, like, I think the Q are like at least a 5, maybe a 6-dimensional creature, but the prophets, the wormhole aliens in Deep Space Nine, they have to be like 7 or 8. They've got to be above Q because they're so far removed from linear time that they don't understand it. Whereas Q. They don't seem to have an issue like grasping linear time. So, like in the evolutionary chain, I feel like if we're on one side and the prophets on another side, the Q is somewhere in the middle.
Interesting. I don't know. I mean, I haven't really thought that far ahead of it. It's kind of ranking
beings on a dimensional scale,
your God level.
Technically, anything above the 3rd dimension would be a god to us. So,
absolutely.
But I just my reasoning is, we know Q's got like infinite power, but but he flaunts it because he's childlike, and maybe the prophets are more mature, so they're higher up on that scale. So you don't see them flaunt their power really. So
yeah. Real quickly, just interesting stories about the girl who plays Amanda Rodgers. Her name is Olivia Dabo. And
Diabo? No. Did they name Dabo?
It's D apostrophe A-B-O. Diabo.
Diabo. I wonder if they named the Dabo girls after her.
Anyways. Her first role was playing the princess in Conan Destroyer in 1984.
Oh, that's cool.
So she was down in the filming of Dune.
That's awesome.
Weird stuff.
You want some spice, little girl?
You want some spice?
Miss Diablo, you want some spice?
I am the Quizahadarak.
The Quizahadarak. Yeah, he's
Next big role she was during this was she played in the really popular show The Wonder Years. and she was one of the sisters of she was a sister of Fred Savage.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And she was like that kind of the hippie girl.
Yeah. I watched it one year's life. It was so weird. Like Fred Savage looked like he was like 5 the entire.
He was.
The entire
well, it's like
series.
when you see like Princess Bride, Fred Savage is in there as a little kid.
Yeah.
That he's getting the story read to, and he's so little at
He
that
still
time.
looks the same age as he does in most of the Wonder Years.
I saw it because he's got stubble now. So
Oh no, but I mean, in the Wonder Years, he always looked like he was a kid. Like it was his Asian girlfriend looked like she was like 10 years older than him, like the entire time.
right. So she was in that, and so that was obviously a big show. She's been in a ton of other TV shows since then. She's in a lot of animated voices. So she's done voices of Sonya for Mortal Kombat.
Oh, that's cool. Which Mortal Kombat?
Defenders of the Realm.
Oh, I never played that one.
All right. She played Millennia Walker in Batman Beyond, Star Sapphire in Justice League, Morgan Le Fay in Justice League Unlimited. She played Tak in Invader Zim. She played Jedi Master Lumra Unduli in Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So she's all over the place.
She's been around, yeah. That's cool.
Yeah, she's a pretty creative person, actually. And then she has a podcast that you can listen to. It's called Every Friday with Dan and Olivia. So she's in with that. And she's also a singer-songwriter, and she does her own songs. She had a big single, Broken, that was on a movie called Loving Annabelle. So...
wow, she's busy.
No, she's very busy. So for, cute girl that you're like, oh, man, I wish I could date a Q. She stayed pretty busy after she stopped being a Q. But it was a fun episode to watch, and she's interesting to see on screen and to see how a person would grapple being a Q. I kind of felt like...
She's a good actress.
A good actress. I don't think the script gave her the weight to grapple with. I think they try to fit too much in the episode. I would have liked to see more of like trying to say goodbye to her human life more.
Yeah, because she was hanging on to it for the entire episode. And at the end, it was like, oh, well.
It'd be cool if he had Crusher kind of like with her, and Q is taking Amanda like to different spots of her life where she has to say goodbye to her parents, maybe say goodbye to her school or something. Just stuff like
almost
that.
Almost like a Christmas Carol type thing. A little bit. That would have been kind of interesting. Maybe a way to make it a 2-part episode.
I don't know if it would be a 2-part, but I think it would have been interesting to see more of like things that you'd have to say goodbye to that you could revisit, but you would never be the same again.
Oh yeah, I mean that would. Changing your life is like an understatement.
I mean, imagine like you got like super famous for something, and then you're going back home to your wedding, to your sister's wedding, and everyone's like, "Dave, man, I saw you in that movie," or whatever you were in, and everyone's like blown away, and they're all like praising you. It'd be cool to see everybody, but they would never treat you like Dave anymore.
Yeah,
you'd be like way up on like everyone's, people are asking you for money. People are like asking for favors, and you're just like, dude, I just came here to see my sister get married, and reconnect with everybody.
Well, yeah, so. I mean, life changing is like an understatement and things like that.
Yeah, so if you become a Q, people are like, man,
it's even...
if you could make my dick like an extra couple inches longer, it'd be fucking awesome, or whatever,
In Supernatural, Crowley sold his soul for 3 inches.
Yeah, there you go. So, but
it's funny.
It's like it would be cool if they kind of focused a little bit more on that, because it's sort of like she was like, I guess I'm a Q. See you later.
Yeah, it's like she held on to it for so long, and they just didn't give like that change, like the gravity it needed. And like a 1990s show, like a 1990s Star Trek.
They got buttoned up so quick. Everything's
just like, oh, nice and pretty, and it's like, oh, everything's okay, and you never ever hear from her again. But
there's a big but on there.
There is a but. You do hear about her again if you're a fan of the Star Trek Voyager novels. There's a novel called The Eternal Tide. She is recognized as a child of the Q, but not a first full Q child because she was born outside of the continuum. During the book, Rogers is killed helping the actual Q Jr., so the Q's child from the Voyager episode. She's helping him doing something, and she dies.
What?
Trying to figure out what happened. Yeah, so they just kill her. Like the one time she comes back, they kill her in a book.
That's stupid.
That's sad. I really wish she would have been in like the Q and the Gray or something.
Yeah,
because the Q were at war. I mean, that would have been so interesting. They could have brought Amanda Rodgers back and had her. She could have been like the thing that helped settle the Q war, because she's sort of that like. I walk between two worlds, you know, like she was born in the human world, and then they brought Janeway in to fix things. I'm like, why couldn't Amanda have done something?
I don't know. That's pretty dumb.
I can't believe they just like killed her in this book. I was reading the memory alpha. I'm like, oh, this is kind of cool. This is kind of cool. They killed her. The next time they write about it, they just brought her back to kill her. It's like,
I have to admit, I keep seeing like Star Trek novels all the time, and I always want to pick them up, and I was like, do I want to read it? Like, I have to watch Star Trek. Do I want to read about Star Trek all the time too as well? You know, it's like, but I'm always interested. Like, I always want to read, because I have read Star Trek novels in the past, but I haven't lately, and I always want to get back into read more Star Trek novels.
Well, I've got 4 you should read.
I know the ones you keep telling me about.
Yeah, those, because I've read them and they're good. The other ones I cannot speak to, so I cannot recommend them at all. My dad read Imzadi. He said it wasn't great.
Yeah. I am Imzadi to you. I am Imzadi to you.
Thank you, Aaron.
They made a whole book on that.
They made a book about the Imzadi thing, and I can't remember what my dad said it was about. But he's like, "Yeah, it just wasn't very good." I'm like, "Okay."
There's
I'll take your word for it, and I won't read that one then.
Yeah, there's a lot of. I mean, you got to figure out.
Well, there's a whole bunch of books that take place chronologically after the Destiny trilogy that I've heard is really good, like the Typhon Pact. Like it's a bunch of different writers, but it's kind of continuing the story. Like Deep Space Nine gets blown up, and then there's a new Deep Space Nine gets built, and there's like this whole like continuing story that takes place after these 4 books. So I've been wanting to read them. I just haven't had the time.
Yeah, that's hard too. Yeah,
and Star Trek's books aren't popular enough to become audiobookized most of the time. I mean, there are some Star Trek,
but you know what?
audiobooks.
The thing is, most of those books, when I have read them, you blow through them in like a week.
Yeah.
Or less, depending how busy you are. It's like you can read them pretty quick. There's not a lot. There's not a lot that you're, you know, like it's not like a Moby Dick novel that you have to get through.
We're like, well, but like 90% of No Moby Dick is like worthless information.
So it
doesn't really continue.
It's pretty quick. You can rip through those novels pretty quick, you know. So it's, I mean, of course, what your schedule's like too. But you know, I a lot of times I can rip through a small novel like that pretty fast.
Well, you know, speaking of novels, hey guys, have you read any good Star Trek novels that you would like to recommend to us?
Oh man, definitely. Let us know.
Like, you know, have you read some that are good? Did you like Imzadi? Did you like the Destiny trilogy? Did you like Before Dishonor? Because those are the 4 I've read. My dad read Imzadi. He wasn't crazy about it, but were you crazy about Imzadi? There's one about like the Q in the Trelane.
Right.
That I kind of wanted to read, but I'm scared it's going to be terrible because I hated Trelane.
I know you hate Trelane. We've avoided that episode.
We have been avoiding that episode, the Squire of Gothos.
Yeah. I'm going to make you watch The Empath one of these days. I'm going to lay that one down on the table.
It's like, oh no.
You're going to be like, no, not that.
Give me Squire of Gothos, please.
Please give me Trelane. Oh, well.
I'll probably like it just to spite you.
You better not. I'll kill you in your sleep.
Man, that was a good episode. What did you like about it? No.
You'll wake up and I'll be like standing at the foot of your bed with a baseball bat. Like Empath, will you? What happened to Dave? It's just Aaron now.
You're not gonna Logan me, like stab me with 3 claws in the middle of the night. Just like,
that'll be it.
Shave my head.
Shave.
Like I'm Patrick Stewart. No.
And then I'll just wear your hair everywhere I go. Just pretend I'm you.
Oh man. I've got enough you could probably make a wig out of.
Yeah, you do. You got the wig thing going. I could definitely wear your I could Buffalo Bill you.
No, don't do it.
Boy, this took a dark turn real quick.
Very dark turn.
That's what happens if you like Empath. If you like Empath, let us know.
Yeah,
I'm
us
sure
know.
You don't. Nobody likes that.
Aaron will show up at the foot of your bed.
Just say Bloody Mary 3 times in a mirror and I'll show up. Hi.
That's you?
Want to talk about Star Trek? Ah!
Man, I did not. I was thinking it's something to drink.
Yeah. You ever play that game?
No.
when you were a kid? Oh,
No, when growing up, my friend told me like it was a ghost and it would appear and it would kill you. I'm like,
yeah.
I never messed with
Oh,
that
everyone
stuff.
always gets scared. It's like, go into the bathroom, turn the lights on, put a candle, and say Bloody Mary 3 times.
But there's things that happen that happen to your brain when you look at mirrors in the dark.
Yes. Black Mirror.
Yeah, Black Mirror, that's a good show. But like, cause psychologically, like low light conditions in mirrors, you can see weird stuff in the mirror, but it's not like you're not going to see like a woman's face or whatever. You can see yourself disfigured because it's just because of the way like low light and reflections and I don't know.
So there is a guy back in the day of Queen Elizabeth, who was their counselor, was John Dee, who did he wasn't a magician at the time, but Aleister Crowley worked all of his ideas off of this guy, John Dee.
Yeah.
And he used to, at first it was a black mirror he used to summon Enochian angels. And he would talk with these angels, but then they had him construct this elaborate table that he could talk. It was like really elaborate, a Ouija board. It wasn't a Ouija board, but something like that. But first he would talk to him through the black mirror.
Yeah, I mean, like people have a fear of mirrors, and it's legitimate because I've read study. I can't remember exactly what happens, but like people, it's like debunking like urban legends or something I was reading.
Bloody Mary,
and like Bloody Mary, but they were saying there's scientifically something like in low light conditions, if you like look at the mirror just out of the corner of your eye, like, your brain will just manufacture.
Oh, I do it too.
Think of,
especially when I'm driving. I'll look in my mirrors and I'll be like, "Oh, there's a car there." Shit! I can't change lanes. There is something to it. You go to some places like when people. I forgot what the tradition is. When someone dies, they cover the mirrors in the house.
Oh yeah,
there's a tradition. I think
because they're scared the soul will escape.
It's a Jewish tradition, but I could be wrong about that. I'm not quite sure on that one, but
it doesn't seem like it would be Jewish. But
I thought it was
because I thought they covered the mirrors because they're scared the soul would escape or something like that.
Yeah, it was something to that nature. But they do after death they'll cover the mirrors.
I think it was like on a No Sleep podcast. They covered all the mirrors and you have to walk the body out backwards or something like that. I can't remember.
I have not listened to that, but I don't. But that's what it's been a long time since I listened or heard about that, but I do distinctly remember that. Anyways, that took a weird turn.
Yeah, really weird turn, but
Boy, we're going all over the place.
Star Trek brings us so many places.
Yeah, so Bloody Mary 3 times in the bathroom, and I'll be there for you. It's like the bat signal, except in your bathroom.
What does Bloody Mary have to do with Star Trek?
Nothing. Just brings Aaron O'Brien. Hey,
yay.
Want to talk Star Trek?
Yeah.
Not really.
No.
I want to talk about Babylon 5.
Babylon 5. Oh, man. I need to watch that again.
Mr. Garibaldi.
I could slit my wrist, but I don't have veins in my wrist. I remember that part. No, that was good.
Good stuff. Anything else?
No, I don't think so.
All right.
This was True Q.
True. So Q.
So Q.
So Q of you.
The original title was called Q Me?
Q Me? No, Q You.
Screw you. Oh, Q you. No.
Q You, man.
Q you, man. Q you. Well, all our music is funded by Warp 11. You can find them at warp11.com or Warp 11 on Twitter. On Twitter, you can find the show at Synthaholic Duo. Me, you can find at David_J_Duncan.
I'm Blackbird 2004.
And guys at GS Davis Art. You can also find USS Tamerlan. You can rate us and review us on iTunes.
Oh, please rate and review us. Tell us what you think. Give us a couple stars. 5 stars preferably. Just say, hey, we like these guys. And the other thing is, what you may not know, which we talk often about, is that the reviewing will give you us a higher profile so other people can find us. So
other people can find us. It's really hard to find us if you just type Star Trek podcast or just Star Trek into iTunes. I don't know why, but we don't even show up. And Joe DePinto, he found us magically on on that Podcast Addict app, and we were like 4 or 5 on there. And iTunes, we've only gotten a couple reviews last year. I don't know if we've gotten maybe only one this year.
Right.
So
yeah, rate and review us, let people know, and if you can just do that. Another thing, if you can support us, we have our Patreon, Synthaholics, Patreon.
Yeah, patreon.com/Synthaholics.
Yeah, throw us a buck. It's $1 a month. If you could throw it our way, it would be great because it just helps us keeping our costs down, that we can keep on bringing the show out.
Keep on bringing the show. There's a monthly cost to host the files online, and then there's a yearly cost of the domain and the website, and then any equipment that goes bad. We would need to be able to replace and keep the show timely and going for you guys as well. And if our Patreon ever took off and got big, the idea is we'd appear at conventions more often, and
we could pay for that stuff.
Yeah, so we could get to places because.
It's expensive.
It's expensive, and we still have our regular jobs.
We've got things to do, people. Can't be showing up every time you say Bloody Mary in the mirror. Also, hey, look, if you know people who want to hear a new podcast, let them know. Synthaholics is a fun show. We can listen to them, talk about Star Trek. We also talk about sci-fi, other subjects. And we also do, sometimes we have the crossover with the Nerds of the Round Table. So, hey, let people know about us. Let people know. A lot of people don't even know about podcasts.
Just podcasts in general.
Yeah, talk to, maybe shoot a post, a Twitter, Facebook, and say, hey, these are the podcasts I listen to. A lot of people don't even know about it. I mean, I bet your mom doesn't listen to podcasts. I mean, they should, because you can listen
they have podcasts on cooking if she's interested in cooking. If you're in history, there's hardcore history.
Oh, so much good podcasts out there.
If you like,
any subject.
True crime. There's Sword and Scale and Last Podcast on the Left.
Any subject you can think about. Yeah. They're just so great. So definitely let people know about our podcast. Let people know about other podcasts, and that podcasts are a thing.
Like do like a top 5 podcast on your list, and say this is what I'm listening to, and then put your all the links in there. That way people can check them out and look at it.
Absolutely, yeah. So let people know,
or just share our posts. Every week I post.
Dave's like an evangelist out there with the podcast, just putting those up in all the groups,
all the different groups, and just share it. Because people see my name all the time, like, oh yeah, it's me. But if they see someone else share one of our posts,
and you put on your feed, say, hey, I like this show.
Yeah,
cool. We appreciate it.
It would help us out immensely.
Yeah, just even a couple listeners every couple months is great. Yeah, so that's cool. And like I said, you have to always think that when we're doing a podcast, we really enjoy talking about Star Trek and sci-fi. If you can give us any feedback on anything that you think is good, bad, if you agree with us, disagree with it, we loved hearing about it.
Yeah, you can email us at any time at synthaholics@yahoo.com. If you liked our 100th episode and liked hearing your own voices and audio clips or your own words in email, send us more of that, because we'd be more than happy to do a whole episode based on just your content, and we'll just riff on it.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have a suggestion for a show, we will definitely try to do that. So yeah, let us know.
Because last time we did Nightingale, Joe DePinto.
He requested.
He requested that, and we probably ran it to the ground and made him unhappy. But
stop listening.
We're sorry.
But so that's we definitely entertain those things if we can do a show that you request. So very cool.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. Live long and prosper, everybody.
In the sink, and we'll cry till we laugh, and we'll both shit our pants. You're the best drinking friend I ever had.
Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary.
Hey, it's me. How'd you get here, Aaron?
What are you doing? Taking a poo?
Yeah.
Oh man, let's talk Star Trek.
Okay, I was holding a hand mirror and reflecting it into the regular mirror, and I was like double Bloody Mary.
Oh, man, there's 2 of me now.
Oh, no. And I'm taking a number 2. What's the coincidence?
This is incredible. Can I see inside the toilet?
Howdy, ha.
Oh, man. Looking pretty bad down there. What have you been eating?
Bloody Marys.
There's a lot of Bloody Marys.
Oh, poor hemorrhoids.
Oh, no. No. So basically, they hack into your computer, and you get this thing that says,
Kirk ransomware.
And you have to pay him like $22, and then they release your computer, and then it says like has a Spock thing that says "Live long and prosper" at the end of it.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's pretty funny.
The cybersecurity experts have found that Kirk ransomware is written in Python using AES encrypt files and RSA to encrypt the AES. And so you have to use this key to get out, and then after you've paid the $22, it says "Live long and prosper." Crazy.
That is crazy. That guy is a Star Trek fan apparently, but he's not living by Star Trek tenets. That's not very Starfleet.
I don't know what's up with that. I don't know. Pretty crazy.